We miss you. Okay. So let's start with the nines. Yes?
Yes.
For the nines, I know there isn't a video, so I just want to tell you the trick.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you do it is to draw the tens fact, 10 rows of whatever, and then cross out a row. And you kind of have to play like, you kind of have to do a think aloud as you're doing it, where you're like, gosh, 9 times whatever is a lot to draw. I'm going to start with something I know, 10 rows of blank,
Mm-hmm.
because that's so easy as a starting point. We always use familiar facts. And now class, putting it on them, how do I make this 9 rows instead? I cross out a row is going to be their answer. Anybody know what the follow-up question would be? I'll let you all write. You guys finish writing. You're all like, I'll draw what I just said since you're all busy writing. What's the first example in your PowerPoint? 9 times 4. This is a pain to draw, so you might even have it pre-drawn. So I would probably write that. It's hard to see, but it's 10 rows of 4 equals 40.
Mm-hmm.
We say, gosh, I need to make this 9 rows. How do I make it 9 rows? They say, cross out a row.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a good follow-up question?
What do I subtract?
Oh. I'm going to write down that question because it's not a bad question, but I want you to reflect on your question.
It's a layup. It's the answer's like already there for them.
Yeah!
Why did I take away a row? Why 1 row?
Why 1 row? They'll say, because we only want 9 rows.
So if I take away 1 row, how much do I have?
Ooh, you're close. So if I take away 1 row, what do I want to ask them? How much do I have? Sure, I have 36, right? But there's something else there.
This is where you want to make the jump towards the subtraction?
Yeah, I think so. Is that what you want to do, Mr. Cannon?
Yes, I do.
And that's why he caught himself, because his question had the word
subtract in it.
Mm-hmm. Good reflection, though, you guys. I feel like we already grew at this meeting, and we've been meeting for like 3 minutes. Nice job. Yeah. Nice. Seriously, good reflection. So if I take away, but we want them to say subtraction. So sometimes, honestly, before you think of the question, you really think of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So we want the answer to be subtract. What question do we ask?
You could ask them what mathematical expression that could be, or what is that?
What operation?
What operation is that?
Yeah.
Or it just felt too easy. Like
it did. I didn't want to say it. So.
Yeah, it seems too obvious. But this question, tell me what you see. What operation is that? Isn't that the theme of 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Haven't we been asking this question? You're saying you did blank? Oh, what operation is that? Or how do I write that with numbers and symbols? Right? That's like that's the question of the hour. We've been asking that all the time to put thinking back on students and make that connection between the concrete and the abstract. Beautiful. And then you're just going to keep going. You're going to do this for several iterations because you get more and more kids who will answer this question, right? Now, there is one last step, because we're going to say, okay, it's 40 minus the 4 makes 36. But then, so this is how we get our answer.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're also just going to represent all that thinking, right? First, I drew 10 rows of 4. How do I represent that?
10 times 4.
And then I took away, how do I represent that?
1 times 4.
I took away minus
Mm-hmm.
a row of 4.
1
row of 4.
1 times 4.
So this is how we're getting this.
Ah, I like that. I
Right?
didn't see that in the video.
No, there was no video.
Oh.
I should have. Maybe this will be it. Maybe we'll make this the video. Although people get annoyed if they have to watch it. I got to do a real video. Exactly. Except for now, instead of just compensating a single amount, we compensate a group. Right? Oh my God! What was in the water? We're on fire. We're doing amazing. Awesome. So yeah, this question was really the question we used here too, with a few little hints like I drew blank blank blank. How do I represent it? I drew blank blank blank. How do I represent it? Right? And so then we just keep doing more examples. We're interested in the answer, and we're interested in how we got it. Okay? And we just flip back and forth between those examples, and then we get those flashcards out. I do want to take a pause to just check in on how the multiplication facts have been going. I feel like it's not something I've emphasized this year. I could kind of see it on the ANET.
You have emphasized it. I have more than half of my friends done with 8s and 4s and up to everything.
You're way further ahead of me.
Are you? Is it really a part of your routine? Is that why you keep like?
Well, the friends who didn't pass. Well, I had some friends who passed right away. But the friends who didn't pass, it's something that they can do when they finish their work. They are allowed. If you do your flashcards silently for a certain amount of time, you're allowed to ask me, "Can you be tested?" But if you talk or something like that, then I'll say, "Oh, you've been talking. I can't test you." So it's just like a thing that I use.
But this is a real regular part of your routine. It sounds like.
Yeah. That's the only way that they can learn.
And I'm hearing you say, maybe this part of the routine has slept.
We've
Or
been
no.
doing it. I have some who are just stuck. Like literally, like I don't know. And maybe that's what I need to ask. Like, what strategies can we use to like help push them to the next thing? Because I'm like, I have some who are like, they can get through like Gregory's 4s is like 2 problems, and he's like, yeah. And then the 2 problems, like he's got everything else, and then the 2 problems, like all the.
Well, then what I would do is I would isolate those 2 problems for him. So, for example, like my son is starting to get weekly spelling tests, right? The word he can't spell is teacher. So I just ask him to spell teacher all the live long day. Like we're like walking to the bus stop. I'm like, spell teacher. We're like, but imagine if I was like, we're going over your spelling list. That would cause a huge meltdown because he doesn't want to write all those spelling words. Also, it's silly because he knows how to spell the word week. So like, I think just really narrowing the scope and narrowing the focus. And it doesn't even have to be like, in Nathaniel's example, the word teacher is the word he can't spell. Let's say he couldn't spell the whole spelling list. Even worse to make him do the whole thing. Then he'd double lose his mind. So just to be like, we're just going to work on the first 2 words. Yeah. And so that does take a little more attention and a little more like streamlining. I think December is perfect.
That's what I've got. Okay. Like literally, like there's a bunch of them that are like, all right, I've got it. And then there's like one, like it happened to Kyrie the other day. So 8 times, was it 8 times 8? He was like.
Yeah, I think we narrow the focus. We hone in on a few things, and we make sure that they're done. Yeah, but I do think you're saying that I've been talking about them, but like in years past, Brian, we brought our data to every meeting and like showed those numbers. I know.
Well, not to everyone.
But maybe that needs to be something we think about for December. Although I really want our focus in December to be model drawing. It's like, if we have any extra time on top of these lessons, that's where I really want us to spend our time. But don't let that one go, because I did notice that the multiplication facts were lower this year than last year on the ANET. ANET in general took a little dip at this school, which we'd expect because 3 out of 4 of us are brand new to this grade level at Quest at least. But nothing that I was like alarmed about. Like things are gonna kind of be within that range anyway. So then when I start to hone in on specifics, I notice multiplication facts as for a whole network were just not great. And then I think just knowing A3, given the path you're on, I have every confidence that your A3 results are going to look like pretty similar to what last year's did. Maybe a few dips here or there, or a few bumps here or there. Who knows, right? But model drawing and solving two-step word problems, again, it's just low across the network. And so just so you are looped in on that conversation, something Chrissy and I discussed this morning with all the school leaders and all of the VPs is if we know that like we get this same number, 45% as the average on two-step word problems, that's been the average, give or take a few points, every single year. For now, this is my 7th year as a math coach at KIPP DC. So, like, if we know that's coming, what are we doing to just disrupt the pattern? Instead of always looking at data and being like, this is what it was, we know what data is coming up, what can we do? And so really making sure that we dedicate like, that timed problem of the day is sacred. Do you guys remember, I know, well, actually, you guys, for whatever reason, and I know you all have very different schedules, so no judgment, you weren't able to make it to that dinner that I had. You made it. Some people, sorry. Poor Brian. He's like, girl, I drove all the way. You're like, I drove all the way at 6 p.m. and you don't even recognize me. I'm sorry. That's rude. But do you remember what our big themes were? Our big areas of emphasis?
Model drawings.
Yeah, but what were the things we said about model drawing?
I wrote it. Like
I know. I had to remind myself. I had to go back and reread the PowerPoint. Do you remember any of the things we said? Because the takeaways were pretty simple. We watched Rachel Leeds, who's like a pro. But I wasn't like, be Rachel Leeds. That wasn't the takeaway. Do you remember?
No, but it was more of her structure.
Definitely doing a show call. Mm-hmm.
You know, and just the way that her kids, she allowed her kids to explain their thinking.
I'll pay you your $5.
And that was more impressive, and that's something that I've been trying to do ever since then. It is tough as a teacher when children don't say what you want them to say, and you kind of want to say it for them. But I think
it's okay, by the way, if they say it the way you don't want, and then you say it. Just long as they get the first at bat. Okay. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. Yeah.
So I think where my kids are like having a problem is if they're model drawing it on paper, but they can't like show that, or they can't do that same model.
Like, how do they show their work?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the showing the work is like the model helps you realize you should add. And then you would type into the computer, like, I added 21 cookies.
So I think that's what needs to be strengthened, the fact that the steps that they're taking. One of my students were able to get, I think, what was the question, 16? The full 2 points, because she, like, then I added it, but I don't know if I ever emphasized that written part for them to,
wow, that's really interesting. Like, the idea that there would be a part of model drawing where at the end, you, like, literally wrote a few sentences.
I was thinking that, too. Like, so when we did these constructed responses. Yeah. They're not being graded on a picture. They're being graded on the steps.
I know. Listen, sometimes the best ideas are the most obvious. I don't even know what to tell you.
So that was
like, I just have a blind spot sometimes.
I think what she's saying, no one has ever explicitly said, like, you know what, I need to, like,
work on this. Because do you know what? Honestly, most people are concerned that kids aren't getting the right answer, period.
And the right answer is not that important. It's the
procedure. Well, it's both. I mean, it's both. To be honest, like, I looked at the data, like, only 40% of kids got the answer right. You know the one about May and the eggs? There were 12 eggs. She used 3 eggs per batch. Each batch is 8 cookies. Do you know that problem? Yeah. I think it's number 20. 21. So you probably are going over it, like, tomorrow. Or Thursday. Because Christy's grading the constructed responses and giving them to you. But, like, almost no one got that right. And mind you, we just now introduced two-step word problems. But, like, a bunch of kids did 12 divided by 4 and then stopped. Like, got 3 batches but never did 3 batches times 8. A bunch of kids did 12 times 8. Like, they knew there were 12 like, they were like, okay, I know there's 8 in each batch, so I'm going to multiply whatever number times 8. But very few kids did, like, 2 steps.
But even if they are doing it, even if they are model drawing it, they need to focus on writing the steps down.
kind of like, right, like what does this
kids,
model tell me? It's the key question we were just talking about before you got in here is like, okay, you modeled this. Now what operation is that what you drew? Like you drew the 21 cookies next to the 27 cookies. What operation is that? 21 plus 27. Great, I added 21 plus 27. But even like, I'd be happy with them just knowing 21 plus 27 is what I need to do now that I drew those cookies. Because the other problem I'm thinking of was number 5, which was so-and-so has 21 cookies. Oh, 20. I'm paraphrasing, making it up. But it's something like 21 chocolate cookies, 27 oatmeal cookies, and they put 8 into a bag. And it was a drop-down menu. A lot of kids, a lot, put 21 plus 27 times 8.
What?
Well, they're thinking...
They're putting them in the bag,
well,
right?
and they're thinking 8 times what makes 48. So it's not like they're totally in the dark, but kind of like when I draw my 21 and my 27, recognize that as 21 plus 27, and then start to put 8 into bags, being like, I'm thinking 8 times what makes 48. That's also the same as 48 divided by 8. So anyway, there's a lot of work to be done in model drawing. Right, there's a model, there's the equations we write, and you're raising a really good point. Like, there's what I type into the computer to explain my thinking. So that is giving me really good food for thought. A few things I just want to put out there as, like, what I would say are the low-hanging fruit of model drawing. Step 1, make sure kids do it before you talk about it at all. Like, they have to just try it first. It gives you stuff to talk about, because no, I shouldn't even say that. Then you're talking about their thinking versus your thinking, right? If you just are like, it's model drawing time, everybody work for 5 minutes, just work. That's really different than it's model drawing time, everybody, let's do this together. Because let's be honest, half the time you say let's do this together, what you really mean is, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to throw in questions, keep you engaged, but really you're watching me. So step 1 is make sure that the kids start it by themselves. Step 2 is make sure that you represent alternate approaches. One of my big takeaways with that 21 and 27 is that if kids tried to draw the bar model, it was really hard. I feel like in 3rd grade, none of them, they're never going to have more than 81. Just like draw dots.
I had to tell kids, like, if you don't understand this model, do what makes sense. And a lot of kids went back to drawing circles because that's what they know makes sense, and like certain things just click back into place.
Well, and with the 12 eggs, it was not a hard problem. If you drew 12 eggs, circled 3, were like batch, and then drew a pan and put 8 muffins on the pan. But it was a really hard problem if you tried to draw a bar.
Yeah.
So just being really open to alternate models and alternate equations. Like, I thought in my brain 8 times what makes 48, and then I had to rewrite it as 48 divided by 8. Do you see what I'm saying? And then the last one is to ask the whole time that you're drawing or showing work, why does this make sense? Why doesn't this make sense? Or like, why did you write this equation? Why didn't you write blah, 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 blah?
Are we getting to a point where the models are going to be mixed up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Like, every day is a different story with a
Like
different
the
model.
last 2 sets we did, they were all like the same kind of problem. So after a while, all like my kids
Some
started to
problem
realize,
of the day.
They should all be drawn
they
the
were
same
all
way.
like, oh, it's gonna be division again because
Yeah.
every day we've done division.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like them different.
Yeah. So I guess one of my questions to you is, what is it that I could do to really support you in this work? Like, I've really been brainstorming, like, is it helpful for me to come to your room and do a model? Would that be helpful to you? Is it helpful for me to solve all of these and draw them and show you ways that they could be drawn?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a 1-minute video? Where I'm like, guys, today the hardest part is putting those 8 in that batch. Like, if you didn't figure out that 4 was batches, you couldn't do the 8 in the batches. Like, the words there mattered. When you start to circle those groups of 3, if you didn't put the word batch, how'd you put that 8 anywhere on that paper? Do kids know what a batch is? You know what I mean?
Cups and bottles. That problem. What is that? Problem 16. Cups and bottles really threw Kyrie for a loop. I thought he was going to shut the whole internet down and storm out.
Yeah. So
I don't understand how cups can go into bottles. I was like, oh.
Mhm.
No, 'cause you don't know that those aren't cups.
Right, we mean pour into, not
Yeah.
like squeeze
He
the
think-
cup.
he think
Oh,
that's
poor
physical.
baby.
He was about to spaz.
Right,
No,
exactly.
no, to be honest, I was like, wait, huh? I read it. I was like, wait. Okay. I had to.
It's like magic. Somehow those cups get squeezed in the bottle. Poor thing. Okay, so yeah, like I just threw out 3 ideas. I don't know that those are the best ideas.
I like
Those are
number
like
2.
in my pocket. What was number 2? Draw the answer.
Mhm.
Show the model.
Mhm.
How does that help you?
It just saves me time from having to think of all the model. Once I can see the model, I just as an adult, I know the steps to take to derive it, and it just helps me because sometimes even if I do my own model, it's hard for me to think of the type of models that they'll do, even if I try to go into my second grade brain. And sometimes I'd leave off models, and I
Well,
think
and maybe I could even annotate it and be like, this is the part you want to ask. Why did I draw it this way? Or something like that. Because my only concern is if you don't actually solve it out yourself, it's very hard to feel where the trickiest part was. You watch someone else do it, and you're like, oh. When you solve it yourself, you're like, I have no idea how to draw this 8. You know?
I agree.
Does anybody else have any opinions? Or obviously, I'm open to other suggestions. I just offered you things like tools I've already used in the past for other things. That doesn't mean they're the right tools or things that would help you, you know?
I think I'm just going to be explicit with my kids as far as just draw what the problem says. Like every part of the problem, just draw it out, draw something out.
And explain it.
And then be ready to tell me why you drew it this way.
Dr.
Because
E.
that's where the learning happens to be like, I decided to circle the 3 eggs. And you'd be like, why? And then be like, well, those go in the batches.
Because that will be authentic. Like me seeing a couple of strategies that they could do, but suppose no one in my room.
Right. Yeah.
That's what happens when I think and I've thought through the strategies and I have all of them, and then I get into problem of the day, and they're all doing stuff that I didn't think about, and so now
I think if you know the purpose of the problem and the intent of the problem, then it doesn't matter. Like you could say whether or not theirs made sense, right? Like if you can break it down and draw your model, and it's it's division, then you can start to by asking them why they did certain things, start to feel
But I think that's one reason why having someone having the model, a few models in mind really matters. Like I would spend half my time when I did model drawing in my room being like, explain to me. Whenever a model didn't make sense, I'd be like, explain to me why you drew it like that. This was individually, by the way. This was while they were working, not during the debrief. Explain to me why you drew it like that. They wouldn't have a reason. I'd be like, this doesn't make sense to me because the eggs aren't extra eggs. The eggs are coming from the 12 eggs she has. I want you to go back and reread the problem. Or tell me the story again. You know, a lot of time kids draw models just because they don't have the reason, because they haven't yet made the connection that the reason we want them to draw the model is because they're showing us what's in their brain. They are just drawing the model because we told them to draw the model. So shifting that from compliance to this is meant to show me what you actually think is going to be really important. Okay.
How much time do you think we should give them? I'm worried, honestly, because some of my kids, they see words on in math, and they're like, I'm done. And then there's also some who are trying to read through it and just I am struggling to get to the end of it, and now I haven't had time to. And then I have others who are like.
I guess I would have a sponge activity for the others, like the early finishers, and then that's okay. And then you have literally a 30-minute block to get this done. That's a lot of time. The reason you have a 30-minute block to work on it is because this makes up at least 20% of the test. The test is, never mind, it's the life skill, right? Solving word real life word problems. It's why we learn math. But the test is divided into subclaims, and subclaim D is multi-step word problems, and it's 20% of the test. Never mind subclaim A, which is on major content, that also doesn't even include fractions to write problems, for example, which aren't necessarily part of subclaim D, but are a part of our major content.
You go out, so like that willingness to really engage, think, and that model shows what I think, like I, the student, is going to be key. So one thing I think might be helpful too is we could bring like the previous day's work to our meeting. I don't want to take too much time with model drawing because we really need to work on the content, like just of my math lessons. But even if we took 5 minutes to be like this with a partner, to be like, this was my student's work, because I think what you're naming about like there are models that surprise me, and Chanel's like, oh, well then you can say this, could be a useful way to learn from each other. What do you think of that?
That's fine.
I mean, it wouldn't mean any extra work on you because they already will have it from the day before. So you just always grab like the day before. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you feel like that's something you could do easily, or is that too?
I've been putting them in a packet, so I'll have to just put them out individually.
We just tear
Okay.
it. Just tear it.
I'm doing the front and back. Are you gonna keep
Oh,
them in the
yeah.
back?
Yeah, I would just do one at a time.
Yeah, we could just bring a couple. Bring,
Oh yeah, that's true. Just bring your packet.
yeah.
I just didn't know if y'all wanted to get it.
I like the packets. Please don't stop the packets.
You like the problem of the day packet?
I like my students having it, and they can keep up. When it was just one sheet, the next day, and I was saying pull out and it was all crumpled up. It was like the packet is nice and neat still.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Is it try?
I'd rather us talk about stuff like that at lessons. I mean, during this meeting time instead of like lessons.
Okay. Well, I feel like there's still a few things with the lessons, particularly with fractions coming up, but I think we can do like a balance. If that's okay. We just had a great conversation about the nines, so I want to keep that kind of stuff going. Right. I'm gonna let you watch the video so I don't waste their time.
There is a video.
Oh.
It's been recorded.
Well, I'm gonna let you watch
Oh,
the video
God.
of this meeting.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we all
interesting.
started at 10 after, so.
Oh, I was with the parent.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but no, it's okay. I just don't want to use their time to say it again. Okay, so let's dive into 51, right, which is solve word problems with fractions. And this is a really interesting one to tackle. By the way, this is the lowest standard on the A3 ANET. They do the worst at word problems with fractions. It's really interesting. What is the number one strategy we want to emphasize?
Draw the picture.
Draw the picture. And again, we're drawing a picture that makes sense to us. How are we going to know if a kid is drawing a picture that makes sense to them?
Ask them to explain their thinking.
All right, Brian's got it.
I drew a box around it.
One of the things that we need to be there's some other stuff I think we probably need to be careful of, and I'm really interested to hear what you think could be like potential snags or what you would anticipate as challenges in this lesson.
Just going back to the numerator and the denominator, and I know that you said that that's not important.
Well,
until
no,
they
I mean just the language numerator and denominator
Yes,
is
the
important,
language. But just them knowing that the denominator represents the size of the cut, and the numerator is going to represent how many of that unit. I just think that I just noticed it today. It's already a little tricky, so I think if they don't nail that going forward, then it will just continue to be tricky.
Yeah, and to be clear, that what you just said, the meaning of the numerator and denominator is super important. I don't think the actual spelling of numerator.
No, not the
But
spelling.
that's what I mean by unimportant. But what you just said, yeah.
I've been trying to say that to them.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chanel?
The language and the actual problems about like what's a fraction. Holy shit.
You just
sorry.
scared me.
I thought you
It's
fell.
okay. It's a bug. It's a bug.
It was a mouth.
Do you want me to kill it?
Yeah, almost that.
So did I. Well, Miss Wesley's getting a really lively video.
I thought you fell like that.
So did I.
Damn.
No, you did great. You did great. All right, I'm going to go back to what Chanel was going to highlight for everybody because I think you're totally right. This is really, really important. What were you going to say?
The difference between like how many versus what fraction.
Right.
They're going to mix that up because we've been doing fractions, so they're going to see how many, and they're going to immediately put the fraction as how many.
Does everybody see that? So can you find a how many question on your PowerPoint? Like when it says how many, what kind of answer are we wanting? A number, right? Like a counting number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. If it says what? Fraction,
Okay.
then we wanna fraction. So that's really important. I would add one other thing that lends a lot of clarity and makes how they, like, to your point, Tyler, which I think is really important, how they type these things and are gonna write about them, really, really important. Which is like, if I write 2/6, yeah, 2/6. But if I write this, I need to be able to say 2/6 of the cube, right? Like, so I think this is the one with like two. Which problem am I talking about? 2 faces out of 6 faces or something? It might be on the exit ticket.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like look at the first question on the exit ticket. Kennedy is rolling a cube with 6 sides. 2 of the sides are blue. 4 of the sides are red. Like in that problem, we're talking about 2, is it red sides? 2 blue sides out of 6 sides.
Of the cube.
Right, but when I write the fraction, I don't say 2/6 sides. I say 2/6 of the cube. Because the cube is the whole, right? And so it's really important that we be thinking about, after every fraction in a story problem, we want to have that language there. And that language there is different than the language we might use just for the numerator or just for the denominator. Right? I mean, we can look at example in your PowerPoint, like the 12 boys and 2 of them are absent. That one's kind of easier, right? Because it's 2 are absent, 12 boys. It's 10/12 of the boys. Let's do another one. That's Candy. Rats. These are easy. Maybe we need to make an example where they're not as easy.
Where it's something that has multi-sides like the cube or
Right. Like maybe even Miss Ramish's class has 10 students. Right? 5 of them are absent. It's not 5. You could say 5/10 of the students, but usually you would say 5/10 of the class. So why don't we change that boys one
to the class?
to the class there are 12 students in the class or something. Where a class has right, because even when
Mr. Mason's class.
Well, because what's the question say? How's the question say?
What fraction of the boys are in school?
So imagine if you changed it to what fraction of the class.
Okay, I'm changing it.
Yeah.
And how many?
So there are 12 students in Mr. Mason's class, not boys. So that, right? There are 12 students in Mr. Mason's class. 2 of them are absent. What fraction of the class is absent? So just change that, because otherwise it's weird that there's only boys in his class. But so do you see? The question is asking what fraction of the class. And if I'm a kid, I'm like, this isn't talking about the class. It's talking about students. You see how that's really, really confusing? So we've got to be really careful about labeling those numbers with words. Awesome. Let's talk about 51B.
I loved this when I was a kid. Mixed numbers and improper fractions.
Well, see, and I think like the way that we teach it is so much better than how I learned it that I like love this unit. Because when I used to have to divide the numerator by the denominator, I would make all kinds of errors. I would divide the exactly, and then sometimes you want me to multiply it and add. You know what I mean? To turn it into improper like. This is where I got to be like, oh, math is an arbitrary set of rules you would like me to memorize. Peace out. I'm not good at memorizing. You know? So, what's important framing we have to do? There's like one like crux of understanding and meaning.
The denominator is the total number of pieces in one whole.
Right. And so whenever we begin looking at the fraction, it's okay. Go ahead. Finish it. Finish it. I just think you're hilarious. Keep going. Listen, we all have stressors. I think we've seen that in today's meeting. And we all just need our time to deal with it. So it's cool, right? We're just, the rest of us are going to move on, but you go ahead. The denominator is the first place we look. Like the first thing we ask ourselves is, or the first thing we notice is, okay, there are 3 pieces in a whole, 3/3 make a whole, right? That's what I do first. And then what work do I show? Is this something I don't talk about in the video?
I was about to ask that. No.
Oh my God.
The new stuff's not in the video.
Okay, so this is what I want to do. And guys, if this isn't on their paper, like, I don't know who taught us this. This was something someone taught me. I did not make this up over the last 7 years, and it totally changed the way kids do these problems. If we don't insist that this is the work they show, then they start to get it wrong because you can't draw circles forever. So when you're done, I'm looking at 5/4.
Oh yeah, you did draw that one.
When you're done being like, oh, there are 4/4 in a whole, I need another one, you want to represent it as a number bond. You want to say 5/4 is made up of 4/4 and 1 more fourth.
Are we doing number bonds or the number sentences again?
A number bond kind of is a number sentence.
Okay.
I'd write it like that. This is the same as 1 and 1/4. This is the work that for me, like if I did, like when it was time to do GP, this is the work I would want to see on every single whiteboard. You can do a picture to jog your memory and get yourself started, but this is the work you show. On IP, this is the work you show. On exit tickets, this is the work you show. When they get bigger, then, they're really teed up for success, right? To say, okay, if it's 11/4, that's 4/4. 4/4 is 8. 9, 10, 11. 3 more fourths. For students with IEPs, you could have them draw 11 dots. And then, okay, I need 4/4 to make a whole. I'm going to put a circle around it. 4/4 make a whole. 4/4 make a whole. 3/4 are left.
So once I give you the pictures, just go the opposite way, right? It's like 4/4.
Right.
4/4 plus it out, and then it makes the.
But I don't think you need to worry about this on this day.
What, the picture?
51B.
Going from the picture to the expression. It's usually the expression to the
I
picture.
think
No, we have
that
some,
I think
it goes
it's
both.
yeah on a
It's like both.
Oh,
on the IP it's definitely
Yes,
both.
yes. So you're right. You just put it up together up top.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you put it?
So, like for this one, I'd say
You write out the number sentence part.
here's how it's all drawn, right, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but you'd be like 4/4, 4/4, 4/4. What's the next
Okay.
one?
1/4.
1/4, and then you'd be like
13/4.
4, 8, 12. But do you see how you're
Yes,
still
I
making it
do.
look like the number bond?
Yes. Now are you gonna put the mixed number at the end?
You can do both. So I always do, and like even following the same structure. Like, look, improper fraction up here, mixed number down at the bottom.
Okay.
And I usually make kids circle the mixed number. So I'd be like 1, 2, 3, and 1/4.
You mean circle the whole?
Yes, thank you. Awesome.
I need to do a poster so that I don't forget that.
Yeah. So this, as a modification for students with IEPs, is important because I feel like this can get really intimidating. And then if I want 11, I might just start cutting it to make
Yeah.
11. As opposed to starting with the 11, which is how their brains might work because it's on the top, and then saying, okay, I need to put them in groups of 4 because I have 4/4. So that's just a way to modify the word.
They're not drawn. Because on the video it says name.
No, they're gonna need to draw it first.
Okay.
So we're definitely moving from concrete to pictorial to abstract.
Mhm.
But what I've found is actually the drawings start to almost be a hindrance.
Mhm.
So when everybody gets the picture and they're doing it okay, you need to like right. Because if this isn't what they show on their paper, they start to get it wrong. What they end up doing, right, for something like 5/4,
is they start to draw 4/5,
I did
right?
that.
Like
I
there's
love
just
that.
a lot of places to go, or they draw 4/4, and then are like, I need an extra piece,
Yeah.
you know?
Not
Yeah.
equal.
So they've got to be really good. But the drawing helps at first to be like, oh, 4/4 make a whole. That's fine, but I'm gonna need, like, let me actually mark it. And so now, I'm not messing with this to keep going. I'm gonna do more. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're using numbers to represent your pictures as you go along, I think you're less likely to see some of the other funny things.
Just so that I'm clear, so 5/3 we broken up into 3/3 and then 2/3.
2/3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
There's one on here that's 1 1/2. Just to draw the picture of 1 1/2. What suggestion do you have for going the other direction?
1
Like
and
from
1/2.
the mixed number to the.
For this one, I'd just be like this.
Just have them draw it and then.
And then
I
I'd
mean,
be like,
Okay, in terms of them figuring out the improper fraction.
well, so then I have to cut the rest to look all the same.
Okay.
2/2 plus 1/2.
For an IP on 52B, it says write a mixed number for each point. But if it's less than 1 and it's a normal fraction,
Then it's fine. Then it's fine.
so just tell
Sorry,
them.
so a fraction or a mixed number.
Okay. So I'll
Yeah.
just explain that to them on that day.
So you're not doing, now this was a weird thing about the videos. 51B and 52B are recorded together
I saw that.
because they were supplements that I added after the fact. But after a few years, we realized you shouldn't teach 51B and 52B. We realized you should teach 51B and then 52
Then 52B.
and then 52B. Because 52 is finding fractions on a number line.
With the hops and the shading in.
Right. It's moved to the next week. Now, right. Wait, are we doing it as hops?
There was some hops.
Can I change it? I
Shades.
think, yeah. Can I change it?
Well, no, you used to call it ticks or something. I don't think you said hops.
No, instead of ticks, we count hops. But this is what someone taught us, again, that we realized really is better. I need to just re-record these videos.
Yeah, that's 7 years old
Gosh.
now.
Definitely.
Sorry, you guys. I mean,
It's almost a decade.
I know, but I didn't record these videos in 1 year.
Well,
It took me 7 years to record
let's
these
start.
videos.
It took you 7 years to record the video.
Well, 6.
And that's
Like,
why they pay the
I-
big
You
bucks.
have new strategies, so you need to.
Right, but you see what I mean? Like, I didn't just sit down and, like, record all 3rd grade.
Yeah.
I recorded 3rd grade for an entire year as I went along. And then the next year, I recorded 4th grade.
Okay, makes
And then
sense.
the next year, so, like, it's not like I could just sit down and, like,
It's gonna
re-record
take
all
a
the
year.
videos.
Well, we got to start.
Because there's
You need a
literally,
whole school year.
well, and I've done K through 5. So it's 6 years of videos.
You can hire someone.
All I'm saying is,
This could be
please don't think I'm being lazy,
No.
that I'm intimidated by re-recording the videos, because it's just a little bit tricky. But the hops aren't bad. The hops were what I used when I was a 5th grade teacher.
It's
Since
3
then,
o'clock.
What we found was it was best to just
A
draw.
The
Well,
tick.
no. So the tick marks are there,
Okay.
but kids were doing hops, and they were going like hop, 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 hop.
Uh-huh.
And what we decided would be better, because they were going, is to first. What should they always think about first when they're writing their fraction?
What's the hole?
What's the whole? So they should draw a rectangle.
Teacher's pet.
He really is. But like, he has all the right answers. I don't know what to say. Today, you're on fire, Brian. I draw a rectangle to represent one whole. You with me?
Yeah, you did that. We did that on there.
And then,
I saw that part.
but where are the hops then?
They were just under it.
So then instead of drawing hops, look what I do. I
Cuts.
cut,
Okay.
and cut, and then I just shade it.
Okay. So I'll
Because
write that.
then, doesn't it just look like the fractions they've been doing?
Yes. Do cuts instead of hops.
Okay, I am going to record 52B. Because 52B
sorry.
is really wrong.
4th grade won't be on time.
All right, I'm so sorry, you guys. So much food for thought. Thank you, and thank you for the patience with the imperfect videos.
Mr. Cannon, these are in packet for the second
You guys
week
are
of
a tough
December.
audience. You don't.
So you don't
Oh,
have to
you-
print everything.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, bless
Do
your
we
heart.
start your
Okay.
thinking?
I mean, sure, lots of people trust my thinking, but
For a second.
We should.
yeah,